We was only planning to come for a week. I was just sold from the very beginning. For me, it was just a no-brainer. There was a huge market out here. If you are driven and you're willing to put the time in, you can earn uncapped potential. The very first thing that I noticed was how different the market is here compared to my experience back home in the UK. I actually had to unlearn a few habits that I had.
And would you say you've kept a work-lifestyle balance?
You've got to earn that. I do love a good boat party. They are fantastic. The Abu Dhabi F1, it was the best weekend I've had in Dubai on both occasions.
You were recently on a BBC documentary.
There's a show that is called The Dubai Hustle, and the situation that was filmed in that show was completely legitimate. That was my very first sort of real in-depth negotiation.
That's additional pressure as well, then.
It is, yeah. When people say it is the land of opportunity, being in Dubai, they're not mistaken. It's broadened my horizons a huge amount, and it sort of opened my eye up to there's a whole big wide world out there if you can go and get it.
Today on the Dubai Guide, our guest is Cody Strachan, who joined a real estate company in Dubai exactly 2 years ago today. Since then, he's had promotions, awards, and even starred on the BBC hit series, The Dubai Hustle. So if you're interested in relocating to Dubai and pursuing a career in real estate, this episode is definitely for you. It's a pleasure to have you on, and obviously having a good catch up to see what you've been up to.
Yeah.
I know there's been some big things happening, and you've mentioned you've never been busier.
Never been busier. So the market is in an incredible state. There's so much demand in the market. So many people moving to Dubai, moving their businesses, moving their families over, just generally finding a place to settle in Dubai. So yeah, my position at the moment, I've got promoted last year to a senior sales negotiator. Finished in like a top 10 position in the company. Yeah, just very pleased with how it's going. A lot of demand in the area that I'm in, got a really good team around me. So the days just at the moment are consisting of non-stop viewings, non-stop calls on the phone, negotiating offers. Yeah, just not enough hours in the day. There is a lot of speculation in the market in terms of what's going to be happening over the next few months. Can this be sustained? Can the amount of demand and the amount of buyers in the market be sustained? But I have no reason why that wouldn't happen. But yeah, we're just we've never been busier as a team, as a company. I'm sure you guys might have heard, but March just gone. Obviously, we're creeping into May now. But March just gone was our highest ever record in terms of company turnover and in terms of company revenue generated by commissions ever, by quite a big stretch as well. So yeah, just a fantastic time to be in the market.
What a time. I'm sure there's going to be a downturn, but the way that Dubai's reacted to anything over the last 10, 15 years, whether it be the financial crisis, COVID, I have no doubt they're going to react to that in a positive way. Yeah,
well, this is the thing. So the biggest draw to me moving here was obviously when we was having a discussion with yourself and when I was thinking about doing the move, it was a time where COVID was very COVID was around back home in a big way. So we was just starting to come out of that period. But I had just very recently been to Dubai on holiday at that time. And it was very strange. So I've gone from a time where back in London and back at home, there was lockdown, there was big restrictions. People were just frustrated with the way that the government and the authorities were dealing with everything. Come to Dubai for a week's holiday, cut a long story short, ended up staying for 2.5 weeks just because I fell in love with the place and I loved everything about it. But just the way that they dealt with everything, obviously I did hear that the lockdown here was fairly strict and it was dealt with in like a short, sharp manner. But they done it in such a way where they managed to creep out of it very quickly. Everything went back to normal very quickly. And yeah, they just got on with things like the vision, the government from the authorities, everything else. They dealt with it in such a great way, allowed everyone to get back to work, get back to earning money and just get back to a normal life. So that was one of the big drawing factors that brought me here, was just the way that the government and the authorities dealt with that hard time. The things that they're putting in place now in terms of making it easy and attractive for investors to come over and buy property, for business owners to come and move their companies over, for people like myself to come and start a new career and better our lives. The vision that they have is just unrivaled to anywhere else in the world. And everybody's very much on the same page in terms of saying Dubai, in my opinion, it is the best place and the only place to be living and working at the moment. And that just goes to show the amount of people that are moving here, the state of the economy, the state of the real estate market, the general morale of everybody that's here. It's just such a big pulling factor here at the moment.
What I'd like to do is go back to just touch briefly on what were you doing in the UK then before applying for this for this role in terms of your career and I suppose lifestyle.
Yeah, fine. So my journey was quite interesting, to be honest with you. So obviously went to school, went to college, done sort of the traditional route. And then I ended up working for a family business, which was something completely different. So that was in transport and haulage and container logistics. So I was in an office with my uncle, with my granddad, and we had like a team around us. I was doing that for, I would say, around 4 years from memory. Earning very good money for my age, very pleased with what I was doing. That job enabled me to buy my first property back home. It enabled me to buy a nice car. Life was great. Everything was moving along really well. At that point, Dubai and moving out of London, moving out of England was far, it wasn't even on my mind. So what happened there is Granddad unfortunately got to an age where he couldn't, it wasn't viable for him to carry on the business. He wanted to retire. The nature of that business was that myself and my uncle didn't have the cash funds or the reserves behind us to keep that going. So anyway, tough decision. We ended up closing that company down. Granddad retired. Myself and my uncle were left out needing to find a new sort of job or a new route. Tried a few different things, and it just so happened that at that time, one of my very, very good friends back home, he actually got himself into a position, he's a bit older than myself, but he owned a high street estate agency. So he said, Cody, why don't you come along, give it a go? I know it's not something that you've ever done before, but why don't you have a crack? So I thought about it for a little while, and I thought, you know what, why not? I'm not quite sure what I want to do. I'm not sure where I want to go. It was a bit of a pay cut for me, just being completely honest, but I thought, look, it's a new start. It's something for me to get my teeth into. So yeah, I went straight into that and just enjoyed it from the very beginning. Obviously, again, I was quite lucky, had a good team around me. But I like that sort of sales environment. I like the idea of being able to, essentially back home, the model's a little bit different. So in Dubai, it's just commission. It's commission only. Where back in the UK, what tends to happen in that role, you would have a small salary and it's topped up by commissions. But I liked essentially that sales environment, that go out there and get it environment where the harder you work, the more hours you put in, the more money you can earn. So I'd done that for around a year, 18 months, was really enjoying it. Like I say, had a good team around me. It was very busy. Again, we was coming out of the COVID era. That was the time in the market where it's just going on such a high trajectory very quickly. So yeah, it was an exciting time to be in that market. And like I say, it was quite strange how it happened. So COVID hit, we was coming out of COVID. It was the time where people were then able to travel and start moving around the world. So the first holiday that we had for sort of 18 months, 2 years, decided to go to Dubai for the very first time. Like I said earlier on, we was only planning to come for a week, ended up extending. So was here for 2.5 weeks, started speaking to some people out in Dubai. Obviously got accustomed to how things work here, the lifestyle, the weather, the beach clubs, everything. I was absolutely amazed by it. So naturally, I started putting some feelers out there to people that worked and lived here to see if there would be any potential placements, sort of how the real estate market worked here. Because at that point, I was sort of thinking to myself, the natural progression or the natural move would be to do a similar job to what I'd done back home, estate agency or real estate, as they call it here. So yeah, I started looking into that field. And very quickly, it became apparent to me that there was a huge, huge market out here, a lot of real estate brokers, which obviously means a lot of competition. But what became more apparent to me than anything was the earning potential. So when I first started hearing some stories and some sort of successful people and what they was able to do and achieve, to be honest with you, I was very skeptical. It was one of these things where I thought there's absolutely no way that somebody back home from Essex or from London or from wherever they are can move to Dubai and within a year be earning that sort of money. I was so skeptical. But then lo and behold, the more and more people I started speaking to, the more research I'd done, I thought, do you know what? There could actually be some legs in this. Like there could be some truth in this. So as it would happen, I remember being at the airport in Dubai, ready to prepare and come and leave to go home. and I was on my laptop. And it was at that point, I remember it very vividly, started applying for jobs, started sort of doing some more in-depth research and started getting quite serious about it. And it was around that sort of time that I got in touch with yourselves. And you guys obviously reinforced all of that information that I had learned, and then started to pick up the search and become more serious. And then obviously the whole process began in terms of actually looking around, looking for jobs and starting to get in interviews. And so from that point to 3, maybe 4 months later, I was flying out to Dubai to start my first placement. So yeah, that's pretty much the story. That's how it went.
What was that relocation like for you? Was there any moment you thought, this isn't for me?
I mean, naturally, I think there's always some element of doubt or some element of, am I doing the right thing? I mean, to be honest with you, at the time, for me, it was quite unusual for me. So I am that person that does usually have second thoughts. Am I doing the right thing? It's a big decision, and I tend to sort of hold things off until I'm 100% sure. But something within me for this move, I was just sold from the very beginning. As soon as I come out to Dubai, as soon as I see it and I'm speaking to people, I saw the lifestyle, how people live, what you can achieve. For me, it was just a no-brainer. And it was a big move for me in terms of I had to give up a job. Like I said, I had my own property. I had to find a way of renting that out. So that was sort of stress and aggravation. I had a car I had to sell. I obviously had family that I would miss and all of that sort of stuff. But for me, yeah, honestly, it was just it was quite an easy choice. The biggest moment was when I actually signed on the dotted line and said, I accept your job offer. Thank you very much. I'll be there in 2 months. So I remember that moment is quite surreal. I sort of done that. And because it had all just been ideas and thoughts in my head, and there have been a few things in the past that I'd spoke about doing, like in terms of traveling and this and that, and they never materialized. So this to me, up until the point that I signed on the dotted line, I said, I'm coming. It wasn't too much of a big deal, but at that time it became quite surreal. And then it was like, wow, like I've got to hand my notice in my job. I've got to speak to my family. I've got to start packing a suitcase. I've got to start preparing. But no, I mean, I was always very happy. I was always very confident with it. I committed to the move. I think the biggest thing for me when I actually reflect on it was I speak to some colleagues now, and I speak to some people that have done the move, and they never done it with a company like yourself. So they sort of spoke to a lot of the employers and a lot of the real estate agencies out here directly. And although there is some support on offer and there's some sort of information that they'll give out and some assistance, what I got from you guys in terms of, I got a full breakdown on the job, what the job involves, what you should expect, what you should not expect, what you need in terms of like the visas, how much money you need, what you should expect to spend on month 2, month 3, month 4. All of that stuff was so in depth in a way that when I arrived, I knew pretty much. I mean, you can never set yourself up to expect and know everything from the start. I'm not trying to say that whatsoever, but I had a very, very good understanding of what to expect, what I need essentially to be prepared, how much money I should have, and all of that. And it made it very seamless for me. It made it so much smoother. And that's what I've always said. I've had some friends back home now that call me and they say, Cody, I'm not happy in my job, or I'm bored, or I'm seeing everybody moving to Dubai now. Like, I think it's a bit of me. Straight away, I point them towards that journey that I went on in terms of going through a recruiter like yourself, just because I feel like you get the full picture. Some people, when you think, so for the companies that obviously employ here, for them, people are coming out here, they're not paying them a salary, and they will essentially take a cut of everything that they earn. So for the companies, it's very much within their interest to bring people here. But with you guys, you make sure that we're fully prepared, we fully understand the full situation, and yeah, we know everything that we can expect. So yeah, I was very prepared with you guys, and it made me at ease, it made me feel comfortable, and yeah, never look back, and everything was exactly as explained.
You touched on one thing there. You're going into a role where you're not paid a salary. You're having to fund your flight. There's no relocation package, anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, it is an idea that makes you feel uneasy. It's an idea that makes you feel anxious in terms of, well, when is my first paycheck going to be? When can I expect to be paid? Obviously, everybody is quite aware that Dubai is not a cheap place to live. So you've got to think of things like your visa, whether your company sponsors your visa or not. You've got to think of, in our job, you can't afford to not have a car. So when you first arrive, the chances are that you're not going to go out there and buy a car, so that you will need to rent a car. You've got your accommodation, you've got your food shopping, you've got all of these different things that add up. And the idea of coming here and not getting paid a salary, it is very scary. It is. And that's why any advice that I give to people straight away of thinking about doing the move is you need to make sure you're disciplined, and you need to make sure that, more importantly than anything, you're actually bringing enough money with you to begin with. I mean, everybody has different views, but in my opinion, you need 6 months living costs as an absolute minimum in order to make that jump and do it. But yeah, like going back to the commission only idea, it is a very worrying idea. It is, but I think when you can understand and you can realize that that sort of role, if you look in any industry, you look in recruitment, you look in real estate, you look at financial advice and wealth management, you look at all of these different industries that are generally a commission only basis, and you look at the successful people in those industries, they are earning a very, very rewarding salary. And that is because if you are driven and you're disciplined and you're willing to put the time in, the hours in and the effort in, you can earn uncapped potential. So for me, it was a trade-off. It's like, I will quite happily give up my comfortable salary and know what I'm getting paid every month in order to improve and in order to go on to that next step where I can earn uncapped earnings. And yeah, luckily for me, it's worked in my favor. I like to think of myself as someone who does have them qualities: disciplined, hardworking, and I've been rewarded for it. So yeah, I wouldn't shy away from it. I think, yeah, I just think if you can get your head around the idea of sacrificing your salary to better yourself and to earn those uncapped earnings, then it's an absolute no-brainer. You've just got to be ready and willing to go out there and make it happen.
What was so assuming you knew no one there when you first landed, did you travel alone? Did you move with a partner?
Yeah, so I moved with a partner. I didn't have too many sort of friends and family. There was a small network out here. I knew a few people from different walks of life, or people that have maybe been living here for a few years before. But yeah, essentially moved here with a partner. Didn't have that many people to sort of rely on and go to. I was always in contact with my family and friends back home. But essentially, yeah, when I landed here, I had my partner. So there was two of us living together, which is a huge help in itself. But yeah, it was very surreal. It was strange. You land at the airport. You're obviously assuming that you've got some sort of hotel or accommodation booked. You land there. You drop your cases, and it's sort of like, wow, this is us now. This is home. This is where we're going to be living for the foreseeable 2, 3, 4, 5 months, whatever it might be. But yeah, it's surreal.
What was your first month like, and when did you actually start feeling settled?
When you first join, I had a starting date where I had to essentially be in the office in my suit and be ready to go to work. But when I moved here, I was told to expect to come into the office a few days prior, just in some casual clothes, to get an idea and a feel for where the office is, the location, where you can park your car, and all of these different things. So essentially, when you go in on your first day, you're not lost and you're not stressed out. So that happened, started my very first day, got introduced to a team of what you'd call new starters who were all starting at the same time as me. I would say there was a group of between 8 or 10 of us, different age groups from different walks of life. There was people from up north of the UK, there's people from Australia, there's people from South Africa, all these different people that are starting at the same time as you. You'd have a small tour around the office, and then essentially for the first week, it would be an intense period where all 10 people would be in one of the meeting rooms in our office with a sales trainer, with a director, with a sales director. And it would be an intense 5-day training period where pretty much from 9 till 5 every day, you would be in there going through the rules, the regulations, how the market works, what to expect, and essentially sales training. You'd have a few breaks through the day. So yeah, that was very much needed. It was very much required. And one thing that I've always said to people, and I get asked the question all the time, is, do you need experience in real estate or estate agency to come out there and do that job? And it's quite ironic, really. So the very first thing that I noticed and that sunk into me quickly was the fact of how different the job is here and how different the market is here compared to my experience back home in the UK. And it became very apparent to me that because the market is so different, the strategies, the sales techniques that you use, the way that the market actually operates and works, I almost had to unlearn quite a lot of the things that I learned back being in the UK for 18 months. So my immediate answer to anyone that asks if you need experience is absolutely not. Just to give you an idea, I mean, some of the top sort of 5 brokers in our office, their backgrounds vary to all different things, such as car salesmen to technicians to IT operators to finance, all of these different things. So yeah, essentially you don't need any experience. I would even go to the extent of, like I said earlier, I actually had to unlearn a few skills and unlearn a few habits that I had just to adjust and to settle into this market. Yeah, so that's something I definitely point out. But yeah, essentially you don't need any experience. You just need to be ready to work. You need to have good people skills. You need to have good social skills, be disciplined, and just committed to what you're doing, essentially.
Very good. So tell us a little bit about your first deal then that you did. How long did that take you, and tell us what that looked like?
So interestingly enough, how my first few months went, so everybody moves at different speeds and everybody settles in at different rates. Now, what will essentially happen when you first start, you'll go through the training period, and the company, more often than not, the employer, the agency, they will nominate a specific area of Dubai to each agent. So there's all different sub-communities, there's all different areas of Dubai, as people know. So I was given a certain area. The area at the time was called Damak Hills. So straight away, it would involve you essentially building up your client base. You start getting on the phones, you start doing viewings, you start booking in meetings, and it goes like that. So I was working away on the phone every day, making sort of anywhere from 50 to 100 calls a day. A lot of those you get hung up on. A lot of those, they're very, very difficult calls when you understand and you get your head around the fact that you're calling people from all different walks of life, all different places in the world. So that's sort of what the job consists of for the first few months. A lot of calls, a lot of meetings, and just trying to get in front of as many people as you can. Because like I said, essentially you're sort of self-employed. You have to build up your own pipeline, your own sort of client base. So I was working away doing that. Within 1 month, I had one of my colleagues who started at the same time as me. He had done his first deal. So naturally you start looking around and going, oh, well done, congratulations. Like hopefully that will happen soon for me. Month 2, another one of my colleagues, he's done his first sales deal. So just to go back and add some context there, you can either go into rentals as an agent or go into sales. I went into sales. So generally in sales, it takes a little bit longer to settle in than it does in rentals. And it takes a little bit longer to sort of essentially build up your client base and do your first deal. So anyway, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months are going past. I'm looking around, everybody who joined at the same time as me starts doing deals. And it gets to around sort of month 3, the end of month 3. And now I'm thinking to myself, everybody that joined at the same time as me seems to be earning money by now. They seem to be doing business and they're closing deals. Why am I not doing this? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm quite confident in my ability. I feel like I'm doing everything right, but it's just not happening for me. So started to get a bit concerned. I spoke to our sales manager, Charlie. I spoke to my team manager at the time and just said, look, can we have a meeting? Can we have a chat? I feel like I'm doing everything right, but it's not happening. Naturally, you start getting a little bit stressed out at this point because I only brought so much money with me. That money's being spent every month. I can see my bank balance going down and down and down, and I'm not earning anything. So I had a chat, had a few meetings, got given a few pointers, a bit of advice. So take that on board, start working away. And then it gets to month 4 and I still haven't done anything. So now I'm starting to get really stressed about, am I going to still have a job at the end of this month? Am I really bad? Am I doing all the wrong things? Like what's going on? So what actually happened for me is it's quite a unique journey. I ended up changing the area that I was working in. Right. So I went from an area called Damak Hills to an area called Jumeirah Golf Estates. Now, at the time, that was a huge, huge decision and something I didn't take lightly because when you put it into perspective, after working in one area for 3 to 4 months, making all of those calls, booking in all of those meetings, speaking to those clients, if you're then to change area, it would essentially mean that all of that you've done for nothing. And then you've got to go and learn something new. So it was a huge, huge decision. And for me, it was almost like an all or nothing thing. Like I'll make this change now. I'll go into a different area and have a fresh start. If it works out, amazing. If it doesn't, and I sort of it goes another month or two, because essentially that's the only money I had left at the time. I probably had maximum 6 to 8 weeks left of living costs before I was broke. I was going home. So it's a big decision. Moved into that other area, and within sort of 5 or 6 weeks, ironically enough, I'd done my first deal on my birthday. 15th
Amazing.
of September, I'd done my first deal. Yeah, that was very rewarding for me financially. And at that point, I could sort of sit back and breathe, and I could call home, I could call mum, call dad and say, look, stress is gone now. I'm relieved.
I'm okay.
I can breathe. I've done my first deal. I'm going to get paid. And then as it would happen at that point, I was building up a bit of a pipeline. The very next day, on the 16th of September, I'd done another deal. And yeah, at that point, it just kicked on naturally and organically from there. I had a client base build up. I had lots of meetings booked in. I had viewings all the time. And ever since that day forward, it's just been incredible. But yeah, I mean, just to give you an idea, in those two deals, my birthday and the next day, so in the space of a 48-hour period, I actually earned in my back pocket the equivalent of probably the average UK salary back home. So that for me was like, wow, those 5 months, those 6 months of absolutely nothing. And then in 48 hours, it all turned around and everything was rosy again. I was confident, I was happy. And yeah, since then, it's just been incredible. But quite a unique story that a lot of people like to hear who are moving over or have just started. It doesn't all happen straight away. As sort of confident as you can be, as confident in your ability, and you feel like you're doing everything right, it doesn't always happen quickly. And that's the most common sort of misconception that people have about moving over. You see on Instagram and you see all these YouTube videos, the lifestyle, the beach clubs, and what people are doing. And people think you can come here and earn a quick buck, and you can do sort of little to no work, and you get paid this crazy money, and you can go down the beach club every day. It's really not that. You need to be prepared to put the work in. You need to be prepared to put the hours in. If you do that, you will be rewarded incredibly, but it's not given. It doesn't work out for everyone. You've got to be, like I said to you before, dedicated and committed. I feel like I've used those words a lot, but they're very important, and willing to put the work in. And yeah, you'll be rewarded, but it's tough. That's what I'm trying to say. It's very tough to get going. You're coming out here, you're self-employed, you have to build your client base and go from there.
Has there been another 5 months that has gone on without anything?
Honestly speaking, no, there hasn't. There has been, from memory, I mean, I would have to check the actual figures and the data, but from memory, I don't think there's ever been more than like 1 month where I've billed zero on the board in terms of sales agreed or commission generated. Obviously, the important thing to realize in this market and in this job is if you do a sale today and you agree a deal today and you sign a contract today, especially in sales, you might potentially not get paid on that for another 2 months. It's a very similar thing to back home, right, in the UK agency. So the day that you agree a sale is not the day that it completes and everything gets settled and paid. So although I'd done that first deal in sort of my 4th to 5th month, I might not have got paid on that till the end of the 6th month, which is something to consider. But no, I mean, the most important thing is, like you just said yourself, the first 3 to 6 months is really crunch time. That's when you're getting rewarded for the work you've done 3 months ago. But as long as you're committed, you're putting the hours in, you're always building that pipeline, which should in theory mean that it's fairly regular and fairly consistent after that. So yeah, there have been the odd month or perhaps the odd 2 months at an absolute maximum where as an agent you might put a big fat zero on the board, as they would say. Yeah. But you would hope that you would be able to sort of capitalize on that and correct that from your pipeline that you've been building up over the previous months. It's all about pipeline in this job. It's the most important thing. As long as you've got that pipeline and you're always prepared for the 2, 3, 4 months ahead, you'll be okay. Since
being in Dubai and over the last 2 years, have you learned anything more about yourself?
Yeah, I think there's been a few things. I think first and foremost, it's a very humbling experience coming out here and being in a commission-only role and going through the process of working for 2, 3, 4, 5 months and not earning a single penny. That's very humbling. That tests your character, that tests your personality and tests sort of your mental strength. Just the day-to-day job of rejection also tests your character. It's not a job for the faint-hearted. I've seen it happen time and time again where many people come out here with the mindset of I'll be earning lots of money within the first month or two, and I'll buy the nice car and I'll do this and do that. Those are the sort of people that end up leaving after 2 or 3 months because they can't stand the pressure. It was much harder than they anticipated. They don't want to put the hours in. So yeah, a lot of character building. Another really interesting thing about working in this market and working in this part of the world is as I said earlier, dealing with people from different walks of life, different nationalities, different parts of the world. So the UK market and the estate agency back there, it's quite sheltered in the sense of you're generally dealing with your everyday couple, your everyday family with children who are buying their forever home that they're going to be in for the next 20 years. And you're building those relationships, and client to client, there's generally not too much difference. Where in this market, one day you could be speaking to an investor that just moved over from another part of the world. In one day you could be speaking to somebody from Saudi Arabia who has a net worth of $50 million. And then the following week, you could be speaking to someone like myself, just a young professional who's looking to buy an apartment. So it's being able to learn and respond to each of these different clientele from different parts of the world, how each different nationality works and how each different nationality communicates, what they respect, what they don't respect, different cultures. So yeah, it's very, very eye-opening moving to a place like this and doing this sort of job. But at the same time, that's what makes it so interesting. Every day brings a new challenge. But yeah, it's a huge amount of character building. It gives you like sort of a bulletproof mentality, being able to push through challenges and rejection. And yeah, I would say being able to deal with different people, different walks of life, different nationalities. It's broadened my horizons a huge amount, and it's sort of opened my eye up to that there's a whole big wide world out there if you can go and get it.
It is, and the network that you can certainly build is incredible. So tell me a little bit about your success journey then, because I believe a year ago you were promoted as a senior.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you had to do to become that senior, and maybe give an example of what's been your biggest deal as well that you've been proud of.
Yeah, okay. So obviously when you first move here, generally all of the agents would have a target. So whether you're a leasing agent, whether you're a sales agent, whatever that might be, just purely in my experience, I'll give you what the sales agent should aim to achieve. So every sales agent in the company, they'll start off with a small target that will go up in small increments for the first 3 months, because essentially when you first start, nobody expects you to be billing these crazy numbers. It's obviously a process. But once you're settled in, any agent is expected to essentially bill 100,000 dirhams of commission every month. That's the target. So although the exchange rate has changed a little bit now, essentially the agent will take approximately half. I mean, different companies have different amounts that they will share between agent and broker, but it's anywhere from sort of 50 to 70% that's generally shared. So yeah, your target would be 100,000 dirhams. When I first started, that was pretty much £10,000 in your back pocket from that sale. And that's your target every month. So at the time I was thinking, wow, if I can hit my target every month and I can earn £10,000 every month, I'll be doing pretty well. So that's your target. And within sort of, I would say, 9 months of being here, like you just said, I was promoted to a senior agent, which essentially means to become a senior agent, you have to hit your target 3 consecutive months, one after the other, and then you'll be awarded senior status, which is obviously the title, and you get essentially a pay rise. So the amount of commission that you get shared between yourself and the company goes up by an increment. So yeah, that happened. In order to keep your senior status, you also need to hit target within at least one of every 3 months to keep that status going and to keep your pay agreement going. So that was the next step for me. Really, really chuffed with that achievement. Obviously, in the market that we was in, it was important that I capitalized on that and made that progression. So yeah, that's your target generally as a sales agent, to earn £10,000 a month every month, and that's what we all aim to achieve. Some people will go a couple of months and earning zero. Some people in 1 month might earn 400% of target. That's just how the sort of the sales market works. In terms of my most sort of proud and a deal that I always look back on, so there was a property in a community called Gulf Place in Dubai Hills Estate. And it was a 4-bedroom villa, an independent villa, huge outdoor space, very, very impressive house. So I started speaking to a young Indian couple. They started their search with me in a different community called Jumeirah Golf Estates. They was viewing different houses there. They couldn't quite find what they liked. Every different house that we was looking at wasn't quite for them. So we started to increase the budget in increments. And then I said, look, guys, we're not getting much luck here. We can't find what we're looking at. So just to give you an idea, their search started at around 9 to 10 million dirhams as a purchase price, which to me and you is around 2.4 million pounds. Yeah. A good amount of money, right? You would like to think that if I can spend 2.3 million pounds, I can buy a nice house. In the community that we was in, we couldn't quite find the right one for them. So we started exploring some other areas, and we went to a place called Dubai Hills Estate, and I ended up, essentially they didn't want to go. So I had a villa there. It's 13.5 million dirhams. They didn't want to go. They said, Cody, it's too much for us. It's out of our budget. We don't want to spend it. And I said, look, guys, everything you've explained to me, all of your requirements and what you want, this is it. So I took them in my car. I dragged them down there to the villa. We had a walk round. We stood in the garden. They wasn't really saying too much. They kept their cards quite close to their chest. And then we finished the viewing, and we stood outside in the front driveway, and he said, Cody, you've really gone and done it for me, haven't you? And I said, how do you mean? He said, you're going to make me spend so much more than what I want to spend. He said, I absolutely love it. They ended up offering full asking price for it. It's 13.5 million dirhams, which if you work it out, don't quote me exactly, but it's around 2.9, maybe 3 million pounds.
Maybe 3 million today.
So that was such a proud moment. I was really impressed with that. I mean, the commission that you earn from that deal is essentially like a 4% total commission deal. So if you converted it to pound sterling, it was somewhere in the region of £56,000. That's £56,000 net to me. So like I said, after you've taken the cut and you split it up with the company will take their half, you take your half. So in that one house, I was working with those clients for approximately 6 or 7 days, visiting each community. They happen to be cash buyers, so the sale closed relatively quickly. Within a 7-day period from the start of picking those clients up to selling them the house, 7-day period, and the commission to me was somewhere in the region of £56,000. So that was sort of the standout deal for me. I know that the UK salary back home is somewhere around maybe £28,000-30,000 now. So when you put it into perspective, obviously you have to pay tax on that as well. In Dubai, it's a tax-free company, so you don't pay any tax. You've essentially earned what the average person would back home in the UK for a year and a half's work. We've earned that in 7 days here. 7 days. Incredible. It was just it was an incredible process. They're not all like that. Just to obviously state the obvious and be clear, they're not all like that. Some are a lot more, some are a lot less. And some might take 3 or 4 months with a specific client. Some might take 3 or 4 days. So it's very much up and down. But yeah, in my experience, and for me, that was sort of the standout deal for me. That was one to be very proud of. And when I handed that one into my sales director, that was a great moment.
No, they're amazing moments when everything ticks the boxes. You got your cash buyer, they got a flexible budget, you were prepared with the properties, and that coming off is always an amazing feeling. Has that influenced your career aspirations or goals in any way now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's only natural for anybody. So obviously when you come from a position where there'll be a lot of people out there like myself back in the UK, you're earning anywhere from sort of 20 to 35,000 pounds at the time. For my age, that was a fair salary. That was a good amount of money. And then you come here and you quickly understand that all of the agents in the market have got a target of £10,000 a month, and that's just a target. So that's something that you're expected to hit in order to keep your job. And obviously the vast majority of everybody on the sales floor behind me are doing that. And then, I mean, it can very quickly get to a position where when you do start earning that money and you can see how much more is out there, I think it's only natural that your expectations change, your expectations of yourselves change. So you go from a place where just hitting target sounds fantastic. If I can do that every month, or if I can even get close to it, great. Like, I'll be living a good life. I'll be earning really good money. And then you start to realize what everybody else is doing out there, and you push harder and harder. And then you can quite quickly learn that actually I can earn 200% of my target every month. And no matter how well you do or how much you're earning, there's always someone out there that's going to be doing more and earning higher figures than you and billing more commission than you. So it just, being in this sales environment here, it makes you so hungry, because like I said to you before, it is uncapped earnings here. It is, you can earn as much as you want to do if you want to go and work and you want to put the hours in, and you want to go and meet that client at 10 o'clock at night in this hotel where he's staying, and you want to go and drive to Abu Dhabi to sign a contract on a Saturday night, and you do all of these things, you can really earn uncapped potential. So yeah, my expectations now is that obviously you're just driving to do more, you're driving to earn more money, bigger commissions, sell more expensive houses. And it just, being in this environment just drives you to want to do more.
And would you say you've kept a work lifestyle balance, or are you at the period at the moment like, no, I'm working as hard as I can every hour I've got available?
Definitely, I do have a balance. I think for the first 3 to 6 months, I think if you're doing the job properly and how you should be doing it, I would say you're working a lot more than you would expect to work. That's just how it is. If you've got a sort of perception that you're going to come to Dubai and in your first 3 to 6 months, you're going to be getting in the office at 9 every day, leaving at 6 every day, and then going down the beach in the evening or going out for dinner and doing those things, you're probably off the mark. That's not what you should be expecting to do. At the start, when you're trying to build your client base up, it's going to be very long hours. It's going to be very stressful. That's the time where you don't want to be going out for dinners or going down the beach clubs and doing all that sort of thing, because like I said before, it's very expensive to do. But then, when you do get to that point where you start closing deals and you start earning commission and you start getting paid, then naturally, of course, you can start going out to do those nice restaurants and the beach clubs and do all of these things. But it's very, very important to stay disciplined and have the balance. I like to think of myself as being quite good at that sort of thing. I am quite sort of disciplined. I know how much money is too much money to spend. I know how much going out is too much and all of those sorts of things. And the most important thing to consider is, although in 1 month you might sell one house and you might earn, I don't know, 10, 15, 20,000 pounds, you might not then sell another house for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, if things go a little bit wrong or you start getting a bit unlucky. So it's very easy to fall into this trap or this sort of mindset where, oh, okay, I've earned some money there, it means I can go out and go crazy and do this and do that. It can very quickly go the opposite way, and all of a sudden you can start panicking. You can start panicking because you're not earning any money, and it can dry up very quickly. So you do have a good work-life balance when you're established. Once you're settled, you're up and running, you're billing those commissions, and you've got the pipeline. Of course, it's you do have a great work-life balance, but you've got to earn that, I guess is what I'm saying. You're not walking into a job where they're giving you a nice healthy salary and you can go out and celebrate. They're giving you a platform and an opportunity to go out and earn lots of money, but it's not given. You've got to go out there and earn that. And then after that, you can do all of the nice things. You can go down the beach clubs and you can book weekends away and you can book all the holidays. It's a fantastic, fantastic lifestyle to live, and I wouldn't give it up for anything now. I'm so glad I've done it, but you've got to earn it and you've got to put the hours into to get to that point.
Of course, yeah. So you see yourself a bit more long-term in Dubai then?
Yeah, do you know what? It's such like an ongoing joke and a funny thing. So I don't think I'm on my own when I say this, but most people come to Dubai, I would say, for anywhere from sort of 2-3 years up to 5 or 6 years. Everybody generally, probably more so in previous years rather than now, but everybody tended to have that sort of get in and get out mentality. Get in, earn your money, do everything you can do, and get out and go away. But I myself, all of the colleagues that I sit with, everybody that moved here at the same time as me, we're all very much in agreement now that I have no plans to leave Dubai in the immediate future or even close. I can see myself very, very easily being here for another 10 plus years. Yeah. And I've been here 2 years already. And I think that's where Dubai is changing a little bit in terms of people do come here, they bring their businesses here, bring family here or their partner, whoever it might be, even if they come here on their own. And they very quickly understand how good of a place it is to live and work and bring a family up. the lifestyle that you can live here, the money that you can earn here, and very quickly, it's so easy to make it your home now. So yeah, it's very quickly changed. I did come out here with a 5-year plan. Typically, you think I'm going to go, I'm going to earn as much money as I can, I'm going to move back to the UK, I'm going to buy a property mortgage free, and all of these things. That's typically what people do. But yeah, it's changed a huge deal for me. I can see myself staying here for a good amount of time, for a long time. Yeah.
Amazing. Just one thing I want to touch on. You were recently on a BBC documentary as well.
So there's a show that is called The Dubai Hustle. You might have seen it. Some of the guys listening might have seen it. So yeah, it's a show with BBC. They decided to collaborate with House and House and essentially get an insight into the life of your average real estate broker, your average person like myself, who at that time when they started filming, I'd only been here for a few months. So they wanted to get an insight into that journey, how that works, the social side, the work side, the professional side, and all of that. So they've done their first series. I did, as you quite rightly say, feature in it. The episode and the situation that was filmed in that show was completely legitimate in terms of I was fighting with one of my colleagues, Chris, the Scottish guy, as I'm probably sure you've seen. So that was my very first sort of real in-depth negotiation. That was going to be my first deal. So all of that was completely organic.
That's additional pressure as well.
Unfolded. It is, yeah. And when they approached me to film it, I wasn't quite sure at the start, but I said, you know what, it's a new experience. Why not? I've never done anything like that before. Like I'll take part and I'll do my thing. So yeah, that was completely organic. I did end up losing that deal, unfortunately. So it wasn't quite how I wanted my first sort of feature on screen to go. Yeah, I ended up losing that. But yeah, I think the show, it was a fun watch. I think it was quite well received, by a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're now actually filming the next series as we speak. So quite often I'll walk into the office and I'll see all the camera crew and they're dealing with a lot of the guys. Filming their sort of day-to-day lives. So yeah, it's a really interesting show. I think it does give a bit of an insight into the job and how it works here, the sort of the morale, the people that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. That's probably the thing that I like the most about working in this industry and working for this company. So you're dealing with all like-minded people, the same sort of age group, from the same walks of life. It's a great sort of social scene, very easy to get on with everyone. And I think that comes across in the show as well, just sort of how enjoyable it can be and the sort of people that you're working with. But yeah, it's a great show. I think it'll be exciting when the next series comes out. And yeah, hopefully there'll be a lot of people tuning in to watch it.
Yeah, I have to say, I watched the first couple and it really gave a good insight and a genuine insight into actually what it is like in the office. The environment, the culture, and, like the negotiations, very raw, very real.
Yeah, and I think it's good in the way that I think it gives people back home the opportunity to relate to people who have done a similar move to them. They're very much the same. So when I watch the people on the show, they're very much like myself, from a similar walk of life with myself. But yeah, no, it's a good show, and I'm confident from what I've seen so far, some small snippets and some small scenes. It's going to be the best one yet. So yeah, it's exciting. It's good. It's a good time to be here. When people say it is the land of opportunity, being in Dubai, they're not mistaken. They're not exaggerating. It really is. The possibilities are endless. You've just got to get yourself here, be willing to work, be willing to put the hours in, and your life can change around very quickly. You meet certain people, you get involved in certain situations and certain circles, and yeah, like I said, the possibilities are endless. It really is the land of opportunity.
Just before you go, I'm going to fire over 10 quickfire questions, and you can choose one. Okay. Beach or desert?
Beach.
Downtown or marina?
Downtown. I actually love downtown. Yeah, I would like to live down there. I like the vibe of downtown. Great place.
Nice. Brunch or dinner?
Dinner.
Skiing, Mall of Emirates skiing or desert safari?
Mall of Emirates skiing.
Christmas
I love skiing.
Yeah, you been there?
Yeah.
Do you go there often then?
Yeah, I actually just got back I went to Austria last month skiing. But
Amazing.
being that I live here now in this part of the world, it's a little bit tougher to get to a lot of the ski destinations in Europe and everywhere else, for example. So I went from going every year when I lived back home to now I don't go quite so much. So yeah, what perfect way of doing your hobby and being able to get on the slopes and just popping down to the local mall. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I
Really
saw
good.
today, I saw a post actually today. I don't know how much, I think it was like something ridiculous, like maybe 500 billion US dollars in Saudi building the world's largest ski resort. I don't know if you see that. So it might be coming a lot closer to you now.
Yeah, hopefully. It's just every single day, every single week, you look at something, they're always doing something new. I've also heard that in Ras Al Khaimah, there's due to be casinos being built there soon. So I think some of they're just always innovating, always bringing new things here and always just essentially drawing people in and making it an even more attractive place. So yeah, some of the ideas that they come up with seem crazy at the beginning, but they always seem to pull them off one way or another. It's incredible.
It is. It is. Christmas in the UK or Dubai?
Christmas in Dubai is fantastic. I've been there, I've done it. I've done a brunch. I had family over. It was great. I mean, it doesn't quite have the same feel, I would say, in terms of being at home. And obviously, the weather's much different at home if you're lucky enough for it to snow around Christmas and being with all your family. But I'm not a huge Christmas person. And for me, being able to do Christmas with family in the sun at a brunch down the marina or down the beach is fantastic. So, yeah, I would actually say Christmas in Dubai.
Dubai, interesting. Sales or lettings?
Sales, all day.
Sales. Pool party or boat party?
Have to be a boat party. I do love a good boat party with a DJ.
Quite a few, yeah. You do quite a few boat parties. I do notice there's certainly a company as well.
Yeah, it becomes normalized. So when I lived back home, the idea of going on one of these big 100-foot yachts was just something that only the super rich can do and just something that was out of reach. But yeah, I can't even tell you how many I've done since I've been here. They're so accessible and they are fantastic. You get all your friends on there, friends and family, you get a DJ on there. Yeah, they're really, really good. Great way to see Dubai and just so much fun. So yeah, definitely boat party.
Apartment or villa?
Villa. If you can afford one, a villa.
Villa, yeah. City lights or beach views?
That's a tough one. In Dubai, you can get both. You go somewhere on the farm, you get a view of the Marina Beach, you can get the Marina skyline. So that's tough to beat. I do love a skyline. I do love city lights. So we'll go with that.
City lights. And last one, Formula One or Rugby Sevens?
Formula One. Yeah, Formula One. So been lucky enough to be able to get down to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix 2 years on the trot, actually. Rugby Sevens I haven't done, so maybe I'm a little bit biased towards the Grand Prix, but I'm a big Grand Prix fan. The Abu Dhabi F1, it was the best weekend I've had in Dubai on both occasions, 2 years running. Yeah, lucky enough to get down there. We was on like a yacht that's trackside, so you're standing on the yacht, you're having a drink, you're eating some good food, and you're looking across and you can see all the drivers going on the track. Yeah, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, if you can do it and get the opportunity to do it, the best weekend in the UAE. It's great. Fantastic.
Congratulations on your 2-year anniversary in Dubai.
Thank you.
It's obviously been an incredible journey. Really appreciate you joining us today, and hopefully it'll be great to catch up again maybe in 6 months or 12 months and see where you're at.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be my pleasure, and hopefully there's much more progressions and much more houses sold. That would be great. But yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again for listening in to the podcast today with Cody. If you'd like to speak to any member of our team in helping you find a job or relocate to Dubai, check out the links in our description or follow us on social media.